sir. What's up?
Hello and welcome to the 199 episode of all of my videos. This is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And today is another edition of Mad Cat Smash Feminism. Rah! I'm sort of in it this day. I just sort of woke up. Anyways, this is number 45. And this is the video before 200. Makes me very excited that we've gotten this far. 199. Wow. So nothing corny today, but no corny message I usually have. But I am joined today by my good friend, Modern Medusa. How are you doing today?
How are you doing?
Oh my God! It's a social justice warrior! Kill it! Kill it!
Roar! Fear me. I'm gonna smash your patriarchy.
Well, if someone has to do it, I guess it has to be you. So, that's quite the change there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Your hair looks nice, of course, but
thank you.
Yeah. Were you infected by a? Did you get bitten by a radioactive social justice warrior?
I did actually.
Yeah.
I have a large bruise. It hurts. I wish that it was actually Trigglypuff. She bit me.
Oh no, I can't imagine what superpowers would be.
Oh God, fuck! I'm just gonna get really fat. That's what's next.
Just shoot yourself in the head now. It's not worth it.
Oh my God.
All right, so enough jokes. Let's go ahead and get started with today's show. Oh wait, what am I saying? There's going to be lots of jokes. All right, so with Mother's Day just yesterday, agony of being a 50-50 mom. Women once held the upper hand in the custody cases. Now fathers are winning equal access, and mothers are struggling to cope. I've never seen a complete sentence before in a title.
I know, right?
So this is a fun article. Starting off, basically it's talking about all the joys of motherhood and, you know, how, you know, you get to see them develop. But imagine then the agonizing pain of being privy to your child's life for only half the time. I think my mother would have loved that. The milestone missed. The lost cuddles before bedtime. The lost nights spent wondering if they are sleeping sweetly or crying out for mommy. This one line, this one little thing really sets the tone for this article about how biased it is.
I mean, imagine the long years spent without seeing your children that men have to go through and having to pay child support the entire time. Like, fuck.
And these women are complaining that half of their week is spent away from their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I had all of this marked up, and now it's all missing, so we'll just have to kind of wait.
Oh, damn.
This is the reality for Britain's growing legion of 50-50 mothers who divide their time with the children equally with their exes. It's a growing phenomenon that, on the surface, might seem the fairest way for separate parents to organize their lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't just seem that way. It is that way. Equality. That's what you feminists want.
Yeah. Or so they say.
But it comes at an emotional price for the mothers involved, and the consequences for children are yet untold. Probably because you're not reporting on the emotional price of the children or the fathers, just the mothers. Because it's the mothers who are truly suffering right now. Veronica Sweeney Bird is one such mother who wishes more than anything that her two little girls were having a more relaxed, stable childhood. Instead, every other Tuesday, she drops them off at nursery and one prime school, full of foreboding as she kisses them goodbye. They're getting access to their father. That's about as normal as you can get.
Exactly. I mean, like, there are kids who grew up without a father, without a mother, and they're lucky enough to have, like, half of the time with both of them, even if they're divorced. Like, that still helps a fucking lot if you get to see them both.
Oh, I definitely agree. A week on, week off. Week on, week off. Anyone else doing like the Karate Kid thing, wax on, wax off? Week on, week off. Shared care arrangement with her ex-husband is the high price Veronica has to pay for her broken marriage. And 2 years on from the split, she struggles to cope with the moment she says goodbye to her girls for 7 long days. 7 days. Oh my God, you must be a horrible wreck. I mean, I get it. You know, parents don't want to be away from their children at all. But, you know, as Vanessa just commented a moment ago, that there are fathers that go years without their children, or that they only get to see them a few weeks in the year at best.
Yeah.
And the court system is designed that mothers automatically get full custody, and you have to work up from there rather than starting at 50-50 and working from there. The vast majority are where mothers have full custody. And she is bitching about missing out on her children for 7 days. She doesn't know how lucky she has it.
Yeah. I mean, if she didn't want to not see her kids all the time, if that's such, you know, a bad consequence, maybe you shouldn't have gotten divorced. Maybe you shouldn't have gotten married in the first place.
Well, to be fair, I'm sure she didn't think that far ahead when she got a divorce. She probably figured she'd get full custody because, well, you know, she's a cunt.
Yeah.
To distract myself from the pain, I throw myself into work, working all hours I can keep me occupied. When you're not...
That sounds unhealthy.
when they're not here, I daren't... That must be a British word. Daren't. I've never seen that contraction before. I dare not even go into the girls' room because just seeing all their clothes and toys is very painful. I know I'll just dissolve into tears and won't be able to function.
Jesus Christ, talk about fucking stereotypical woman right there. Like, fuck, you can't even look at a toy without crying. Like, how does the dad feel? Like, I mean, guy, so he probably only, you know, is, I mean, I'm sure he doesn't enjoy the week away either, but I doubt that he would fucking cry at a fucking toy.
I mean, maybe if he hasn't seen his child in a year, yeah, he'd probably cry.
Yeah, exactly.
But, oh my God, I mean, she's so emotionally needy. It makes me wonder why they got a divorce. I mean, what happened if you ever sent your children off to summer camp? You know, would you cry every single day while they're gone, or just learn to accept that they're gone for a while and you need to move on with your life?
Exactly.
And then she only ventures into the room the night before to tidy up and get ready. And although her ex-husband lives just a 10-minute walk away, relations...
Oh my God.
Well, relations are strained that there's little contact between them apart from a court-order FaceTime conversation with her daughters every other day while they are with him. So, here's the situation. She doesn't get to see her children for 7 days. But every other day that her children are gone, she's on Skype with them and sees them.
You know how many times I Skype with my mom? Maybe times a year on holidays. And she lives all the way, across the country. So, I mean, yeah, I miss her a lot, but I talk to her all the time. And I don't. If I saw her every other day, I'd feel like she was still here. Fuck.
Well, to be fair, though, you're like 21 and these children are 3 and 5. So
Yeah.
she's a fairly new mother who likes having her children around. So it's a little bit understandable why she has a little bit of a clinginess to them. But it's like, this is what happens when you get a divorce. And you've got to learn to cope, not complain to a newspaper about it.
Yeah.
And of course, one of her daughters doesn't like talking on the phone, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. And although she trusts her ex-husband implicitly with the care of her girls, the lack of easy communication means she knows little of what they do in their time apart. More than this, decisions about their care are often made that are out of her control.
Gee, I wonder how the guy feels.
No, she's saying that often made out of her control. And it's like, well, half the time you get to make decisions and the other half your husband gets to make decisions. But you make it sound like any decision that's made is made out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes into about how one day she picked up her children and her husband had taken them to the hairdresser, and that one of her daughter's hair was like so long to start having ponytails and now was really short, and she was devastated.
How did the fucking little girl feel? Like, fuck, he paid for it. Fuck off.
Well, and it sounds like to me that, she wanted her child's hair to be long so she could put it in ponytails, and that she wanted to do this with her girl, and her daughter decided that she wanted short hair, and the father said yes. So she loses that emotional bond with her child, which sounds like she was kind of imprinting on her child rather than letting her child kind of choose for herself what she wanted.
I mean, shit, you could still do different stuff with short hair. I mean, you don't have to tie it up. You can curl it or fucking, whatever. Like, I mean, you don't just have to stop. You can paint her nails instead.
I mean, it's not like she's Uncle Fester or anything. I mean, come on. Yeah,
and hair does grow back.
I don't know if anyone would know who Sinead O'Connor is.
I think so.
Yeah, if you grew up in the 90s, you knew who she was. On Mother's Day this year, Veronica wasn't even able to speak to the girls, as it didn't fall on her court-appointed FaceTime day, something she says she found utterly heartbreaking. Now, this I can understand, and it kind of sounds like, oh, wow, that man is such an asshole for not letting the children talk to her on Mother's Day, but I'm willing to bet that the previous year's Father's Day, she didn't allow the children to talk to him on Father's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to bet that, say, hey, it's tit for tat. If you want something done for you, you've got to do it for someone else. And more than likely, she didn't do it for her husband. So when it came, what goes around comes around, Mother's Day comes up, he's not going to do it for you. I mean, I think it's kind of sad that on Mother's Days and Father's Days, children don't have, that opportunity to talk to their parents. And yeah, my heart kind of goes out for that, but it makes me wonder what happened the previous Father's Day.
Yeah, me too.
And then she complains that her daughter is now taking after-school judo classes, which encroaches on her week with the girls. So one day out of the week that she spends with her girls, she's doing judo for a few hours. And that's Like, oh
Heaven
no, I'm
forbid
not
she
going to.
does something she enjoys.
Yeah, and it's lots of exercise and self-defense. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah,
you use
like,
judo when a mugger comes calling, but maybe if he has a stick. And as she says, like, Ziva really enjoys it, so that's okay. But I don't like not being part of the discussion to decide what activities my own children are going to take part in. And that's fair, actually.
yeah.
There should be a communication between the parents on making decisions like that. But as she said, the relationship is strained. So, if they can't be amicable with each other, then that's the consequence of this. And maybe if you weren't so emotionally needy and probably highly manipulative, you could be part of the decision-making process with your husband. But $10 says that the husband is not a part of any decision-making process when the children are with you.
Yeah.
I'm using a lot of idioms, but it's like what's good for the goose is good for the gander, Whatever you do for one has to be good for the other. So if you want to be part of the children's lives when they're over there, then you have to let the father be a part of their lives when they're with you.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do one, then the other's not going to happen. When you have children, you want to have a say in every element of their upbringing. But in my situation, that's impossible. Well, grow up and live with it.
Exactly.
I love it that these women are trying to hide their tattoos. There's a.
Don't look at me. I'm a good mom.
She also has a tattoo right here.
Yeah.
And it's like she's trying to hide her tattoo so you don't see it. And I'm not against, girls having tattoos. I just think it's funny that they're just trying to,
look better.
Obscure them in some way,
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it seems like. Oh, we got people on our channel.
Yeah.
And someone's spying on us. Well,
What's
let
up,
me slowly
Ram
take
Band
off my shirt so you
3000?
get a good show. Oh, wait, my camera's not on. You can't see me. Oh, well.
Little snake that I am holding. Flicka, flicka, flicka.
Like all real snakes, it doesn't really move that much.
He's really lively. Today he's just chilling.
It will lick you to death like a puppy, only a lot more drier. Okay, so moving on. Such an emotionally grueling arrangement over childhood are becoming increasingly common. While official figures suggest that only 3% of separated parents share their children's time equally, experts say that this is a gross underestimated because many arrangements are unofficial, so unrecorded. Okay, that makes sense, but I would still probably say it's only up to like 10 to 20%, if at best. More and more couples are agreeing to split care of their children without any intervention by the courts, which is good, according to Jane Roby, the chief executive officer of the National Family Mediation, which conducts over 30,000 mediation between separating couples. 10 years ago, shared care really wasn't an option. Now there's a cultural shift towards fathers taking an active role in their children's upbringing. So many men are saying they want to be involved in day-to-day parental care. Well, here's a news flash for you. 10 years ago, fathers wanted to be a part of their children's lives.
Yeah.
No, let's go back 20, 30, 40 years ago. Fathers wanted this. It's just now places like A Voice for Men are finally getting to the media. Hey, men are actually, compassionate parents. They want to be a part of children's lives. Now it's popular that fathers are a part of the children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't know my biological father. You know, for one reason or another, that I've never fully understood, I think it was mostly my mother wanted nothing to do with him. And so he kind of had to take a back seat from that. And of course, she kind of, you know, threw it on him. It's like, well, you know, I always hoped that he would one day, you know, have you go out to Maine or whatever. And it was like, yeah, but I'm wondering if the reason why he didn't do that is because you didn't really make it viable for him to do that. And I didn't meet him until I was 20.
Wow. Did he tell you that he wanted to see you?
Let me think. It's hard to remember from so long ago. Because it was like 16 years ago when I first met him. He said he wanted to, but he also kind of said that he knew that he wasn't really a father, so he kind of just stayed away.
Yeah.
Which I
My dad wasn't a very good father either.
What's up?
He wasn't a very good father either, but he had like 7 children.
Well, he's good at creating, not really
yeah,
bringing them up. But, you know, I got over it, really. You know, it's not like I really forgave him, but I just kind of forgot. It's the rest of his family that I really had the problem with, because it's like, you know, I can understand, like, he not feeling prepared to do it and staying away. But the rest of his family is like, well, if he's staying away, we're staying away. So I didn't know who any of those other people were for my entire life. I only met them after I had met him. So, and that, to this day, I don't forgive them for that. So, anyways.
You know, it's, well, what's funny is that that reminds me of how my stepdad, like, you know, him and my mom separated. And right after that, you know, his parents were always really, like, you know, nice. I mean, they weren't really nice, but they were, you know, they always gave me nice gifts and stuff because they were really. But then as soon as they split up, they only started sending my little siblings that, you know, were his kids. They only started sending them presents and not me or my mom, even though we still lived in the same house. And it was just funny because it's like, you acted like you were part of my life this whole time, and now, you know, just
well,
you know, I don't care
my
because
stepfather's family. Here, I'll stop screen share for a moment. That happened with my stepfather's family. Like, you know, he was pretty much part of our lives for most of my life, my growing up, pretty much right until I got into an adult. I really wish he wasn't there. He was an asshat. But when he left the family, his family pretty much stopped talking to us. And it's like, you wanted to be our grandparents, but now that he's gone, you want nothing to do with us. And I never heard from them again. When he left, I never heard from them. It's like, hey, now they have an escape. They don't need to deal with us anymore. Voila. And it's like, how can you do that? How can you just not just one day decide you don't want to be a part of something like family? And you know, it's like there's so many, like, fathers out there, so many parents that want access to their children, and yet in my life I've met so many selfish people who couldn't wait to get rid of me, you know? And I guess in many ways I'm glad I've never become a father, because I don't know how well of a father I'll be since I've had such a poor foundation of family. I'd like to think I would be a good person because I wouldn't want to repeat what my family did to me, but at the same time, it's like always kind of makes me worried. And again, I'm more concerned about what would my wife what shit she would try to pull and if she would try to keep the children away from me.
Yeah.
Probably the primary reason I haven't had children is because I don't want to bring a child into a world where they can easily be ripped away from me without my say-so, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable.
So let's go back to the article. Okay, so as Jane warns that trying to be fair for both adults can be damaging for the children. It can be very hard on them as they have to live in different homes and move place to place continually that can make them feel unsettled and unhappy. Well, there's kind of a truth in that. I mean, and I don't mean to keep talking about my family, but it keeps relating. I went to like 6 different elementary schools. It's like every 1 to 2 years I would be moving.
Me too.
And yeah, I mean, that's very hard. I mean, when you come into a new situation like that, what it's like being in a new school at in 6th grade is very difficult to do because everyone there has had some time to build bonds with each other, and now you're trying to come into the middle of that. It's not very easy to do. But we're talking about a situation where they're going between 2 homes. Children are very resilient. I adapted. I didn't like it, but I adapted. And while, yeah, that can be a little bit damaging, children adapt. They persevere if they're given the right environment to do so. So I don't think it's as bad as having 2 homes, honestly.
Yeah.
There may come a time when they just don't want to go, or they'll stop playing one parent off against each other. When deciding on arrangements post-split, all this has to be considered. Yeah, well, children play parent off against each other even in a normal situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're saying somehow this situation just suddenly makes it so much worse. And this is normal.
Yeah.
You start losing connection with your children as they get older. Your children start being more rebellious as they get older. They start playing parents off against each other. So why should it be any different if they have to go between 2 homes? Maybe they'll do it a little bit more, but still. And as children grow up, they tend to favor one parent over the other. And I'm willing to bet these children will favor their father over their emotionally needy mother.
Yeah. Who knows?
Here's another woman, Nicola Hewitt, who split from her 42-year-old police husband, Dan, in 2011 after 10 years of marriage, and faces the trauma of being without her children, who are 10 and 8, every weekend. Instead, she must do with being a midweek parent. It made sense.
No offense, but she's using the word trauma kind of heavily. I mean, like, I can understand if you have some trauma at the beginning, not being able to see them every day, but it sounds like they're making it out to be like she faces trauma every single time they leave, and that sounds kind of obsessive. Like, I understand a mother's, need to take care of her children, but it's also like, I mean, you can just calm the fuck down, they're coming back.
So apparently someone thinks that snakes taste like cilantro. I wouldn't know. I've never tasted a snake.
What? I think it says cilantro tastes like soap.
I know. I just like misreading things all the time. All right. So, but she's like, but I really miss the children being in the house. I miss putting them to bed and hearing them say, I love you as I walk downstairs. I sit in the house at weekends, deafened by the silence, hankering after their company and feeling like bits of me are missing. After all, when you're married, you do everything with your partner and everything is centered around the children. Then suddenly it ends and you're ousted from your normal life. It took me 2 years to get my head around it. Well, that's what happens when you get a divorce. If you wanted a normal life, don't get a divorce.
Exactly.
I mean, I know it's not that simple, but go ahead.
I like how they're acting like, this only this is happening to women, and it's so awful. But men, they can just have their kids taken away right away, never see them again, and that's fine. That's not traumatic or anything.
At first, she coped by filling the hours as best she could, focusing on her work and her 5 dogs.
5 dogs?
3 of which she got after her husband left. So she got 3 additional dogs just to fill the void of not seeing her children.
Jesus Christ.
Dogs are enough work. I mean, I have to take care of 2 dogs, and I love these dogs.
I can't even take care of 1 dog.
It's like 5 dogs. Wow, there are like some really emotional. Is just what motherhood is? Is that you're just so emotionally crippled when your child is first born? I mean, it certainly goes against the narrative that women just pop out children so they can be on welfare. These women are just so emotionally crippled that they can't be gone. And I can understand, missing them and wanting them back, but these women sound like they have PTSD.
Exactly.
And they're only gone, in this case, they're only gone for like 2 to 3 days. And the other woman, it's for 7 days.
Yeah.
And then she talks about how lonely it is on Mother's Days or birthdays when they're not with her. She has to power through the day. Holidays are hard too. 3 years ago, their father took them to Florida for Christmas for 2 weeks, which they loved, of course, but I couldn't stop crying when they came through at the airport. It was far too long to be away from them.
Again, how did they fucking deal with summer school? Or summer camp, or whatever the fuck.
And I love this part. I'm very outdoorsy, so the kids are often muddy and not in their best clothes, whereas he likes them to be ultra clean and dressed nicely. I believe kids should be a bit grubby and fit. So you have 2 different parenting styles, and neither one are necessarily wrong. He wants them to dress nice and be clean, which is a good habit to get into. I know, because I should have gotten into it, and I'm a very messy person. I'm a slob. And you want your children to go out and play in the mud. That sounds like a good compromise. 1 week they play in the mud, the other week they dress nice. They get best of both worlds.
Oh, sliding.
I've returned.
I didn't know you left.
I said I was going to be back.
I just don't notice when you leave.
That's okay. You kept talking, so.
She is left to cope with the travails of school and work week, whereas her partner gets to enjoy the more relaxed weekends. I get the worst of them, as he has to do it when they're not tired, whereas I get their grumpy sides and have to nag them to do homework.
Well, maybe if you didn't nag, they wouldn't be so grumpy.
Well, no. Children tend to be a little bit grumpy when they go to school and have to do work, homework.
Yeah.
And if he was a police officer, it was probably the same thing even when you were married to him. He was working during the week. You'd have to take care of them when they came home from school. and then he got to spend time with them on the weekends. It's usually what happens in these kinds of homes. So it's not any different.
Yeah, and I like how, you know, she's just fucking... Oh, fuck, I lost my place.
Okay, and Jane Robbie continues on, the person from above. Shared parenting has to be about focusing on the children's needs, and it works best when the parents aren't playing silly games with the children caught in the middle. It's also beneficial if the parents live close to each other so they can maintain the children's routine to give them a sense of belonging. It's important that the kids are not being shuttled around the country or feeling isolated in one's parent's house away from everything they know. It's not about the parents' rights, but the children. Well, I kind of half agree with that. It's still about the parents' rights because children need access to both parents. However, what's best for the children is 50-50 shared custody. And if you start with that platform, that what's best for the children is access to both children, then I agree with you. It's not about the parents' rights, but the children.
Yeah.
But if you try to say, well, what's best for the children is that they should be with their mother, that's when I have the problem.
Mm-hmm. I mean, unless either of them is abusive or, you know, just unfit or, you know, is drinking all the time or endangering them, you know, I can understand that. But it also, you know, a lot of females get rewarded custody even if they're unfit mothers, like full custody. So they're lucky that, you know, they have a fucking father in their lives, you know?
Yeah. So there's one more woman, and we'll mention her real quickly because it is a little bit interesting. Charlotte Dickinson. They were married for 10 years and they split about 12 months ago. Has split care of her 5-year-old daughter Jessica with her ex-partner who lives just over the road. He has 3 nights of the week and Charlotte has the remainder. So 4? He has 3, she has 4. It's not exactly split, but I mean, you can't exactly split 7 days evenly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joint decision to split up, and there was no animosity, so it made the shared care a lot easier. But it took time to adjust. On the days when Jessica was gone, the house was so quiet. In the middle of the night, she would crawl into my bed, and when she wasn't there, I struggled to sleep. Well, I'm sure it's nice to have your daughter sleeping next to you, but I mean, you managed to sleep all your life before she was born.
Yeah.
So she developed some coping mechanisms, such as getting a cat. That was just nice to have something else to come home to. And then she also started cooking meals in the freezer so she wouldn't have to cook for Jessica and can spend more time to her. Although I love the word she uses, devote more time to her. Wouldn't cooking also be devoting time to her?
Yeah, that's true.
And she also took up running as well. So, you know, she's finding coping mechanisms. Good for her. But, you know, you still make it sound like it's such, like, woe is her. You know, she has to deal with this hard struggle of being a mother. I mean, many mothers would actually love something like this where they're not always around their children. And it's not to say that these are bad parents, but sometimes you need a break. And these women don't know how lucky they actually have it.
Exactly.
She also says, I'm a soft touch while my ex is more disciplined. Well, one, that's normal. Fathers tend to be more of the disciplinarian who punishes their children and also, you know, gives them rules in which to live by. And this is why fathers are so important for their children, that children who have access to their fathers tend to be more successful in life.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, even then you say, well, I'm a soft touch. Yeah, I don't believe that. You know, I'm sure you can quote yourself often like, oh, I'm such a loving and caring mother. I'm like, you know, when people say that, I always think the first thing, you're a bitch. You're just a horrible bitch. Because someone who's actually like, you know, nice and caring wouldn't say, I'm so nice and I'm so caring. They'd be like, you know what? I'm loving, but I'm also firm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, yeah, this article is very biased. It's pretty much about how is she hiding a tattoo? It doesn't look like. It's probably on the back of her neck. But yeah, these poor women, they have to have shared custody. They have to do 50-50. And they make it sound like it would just be better if the child was with them all the time. Now, in most of these cases, the children are fairly young, and the woman is only recently been a mother, but at the same time, it's like you're way, way too emotionally needy. And, you know, how far are you willing to go to maintain that level of control?
Yeah.
And you need to get some serious help. You need to go see a therapist and learn to not be so emotionally needy with your children, because your children are going to pick up on that and either A, use it against you, or B, grow to hate you for that.
Yeah. I mean, what are they gonna do when they fucking move out? Like, shit. Once they start going out and doing stuff without them, like, oh my god, they're spending even more time without me. How am I gonna cope?
Oh, Prince Harry says he would love to have children. Don't. End the royal line now. Just don't be a father, honestly. That's what I'll tell all men. Children are a great asset to this world, but until they are stopped being used as weapons against men, stop having children.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Women's Equality Party admits it has no position on Sharia. This article, of course, comes on Breitbart, so you know it'll be fun. So, in a brief, the UK feminist Women's Equal Party has admitted that it has no position on Sharia courts and laws. In a brief email exchange, the feminist-led political movement admitted that they did not take a position on Sharia-inspired laws or the many Sharia courts which continue to grow in number in Britain. The email came after activists, Pegida, UK campaigner, Anne Marie Waters questioned the group after receiving a promotional email from them. Ms. Waters asked the group what their stance was on Sharia courts, to which the group replied, the Women's Equality Party is a nonpartisan political party and the issue of Sharia council is a partisan one, so we don't have a party line. The group maintained, however, that they were working with those who have been forced into marriages or suffered female genital mutilation or honor-based violence. So
Suffered. Already suffered.
So you have no stance on Sharia law, but you are working with those who were forced to marry or, you know, already suffered female genital mutilation. Well, you know, if you go after Sharia law, then you could prevent those things from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Waters reacted with disdain and dismissed the party's stated purpose as looking out for the rights of women. She said in her reply, I'm sorry, but that's absurd. This is a matter of fundamental importance for women's basic rights, much less equality. It's admirable that you want to support people forced into marriage, etc., but wouldn't prevention be better? That involves some serious courage.
See, but that's what feminists don't have. They do not have courage at all, except to show their bodies. Oops.
Well, there's strength in numbers. Feminists will be, you know, all talk and like, you know, want to take action when there's a large following behind them, or if you're Trigglypuff, you are a large woman. I'm sorry, I had to tell that joke. In an email, Miss Waters accused the party of the same kind of slacktivism many on the left routinely exhibit when it comes to tough issues. She says, "It is clear to me that you will focus on uncontroversial matters while ignoring the unimaginable cruelty to women right under your nose. Such a shame. Feminism has really become a joke."
Oh yeah. Amen.
It really has.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the kicker. The reason why these feminists are not going to go after Muslims, I mean, look at what happened with the attack in Cologne. Do you think there were no feminists that were really going after that situation? Why? Because they have to have this narrative that white men are the problem. So if you go after what was predominantly Middle Eastern men doing this in Cologne, and yes, I know there were some white people doing it, and that's a whole controversial issue, but it's like feminists wouldn't dare speak up against any man that wasn't white because they're a oppressed minority. They're so focused on immigration and racism and all of that, that when we have these cultures that but anyways, when we have such oppressed cultures out there, and feminism has nothing to do with it, they'd rather spend their time on, you know, manspreading. They'd rather focus on, you know, these minor little things that is just first world problems when there's actual problems out there.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
you know what? I don't really have anything directly against any Muslim out there who wants to be a Muslim but doesn't follow Sharia law. And I know that that's a vast minority of them, but, you know, if you want to be Muslim and believe in all of that, fine, but you have to also want equal rights for humans everywhere. And so I'm sure I'm going to have some Muslims tell me, well, you're just misunderstanding Muslim and it's not this bad or that or anything. But, you know, I've done a little bit of research.
It's a fucking lawnmower outside. People were like, what's that sound? Some asshole is fucking mowing right outside the window.
So some of the elements of Sharia law is that, like, a man is entitled up to 4 wives, but a woman may only have 1 husband. Now, there is a little caveat missing from this, is that in order for a man to have 4 wives, he must provide a home for each wives and their children. So, but, you know, still he can have 4 wives. A husband must pay a dowry, to which it looks like the woman can keep, but it basically is a sexual submission. She's basically taking the dowry and saying, you can have sex with me whenever you want. A man can divorce his wife pretty much anytime he wants to, but has to get approved by an Islamic judge. But a woman has to get permission from her husband in order to get a divorce. So it really does come down to the husband. And these are just a couple of things. But one key thing with Sharia law is that there's no specific minimum age for marriage. But most of those practicing Sharia law agree that a woman must reach puberty first. And usually that means marrying girls off as young as 12 or 13. Although there was a case in 2013 where an 8-year-old girl died of internal injuries suffered on her wedding night. Now, to be fair, only 14% of Yemen girls are married before the age of 15. While that's still bad, it's not as bad as some people make it out to sound. with 52% married before the age of between 15 to 18. No, just before 18, never mind. So it's about somewhere like 30 some odd percent are married between 15 to 18. And that's still a lot, and that's still not that great. But feminism, if you are worth anything, your weight in salt, you'd be going after these kinds of issues. Instead, you want to turn your attention onto white men, as we're the only oppressors ever in history. Genghis Khan didn't rape all of those women. They did it voluntarily. You know, black African countries didn't have slaves. They voluntarily decided to be oppressed. Blacks had black slaves. In fact, blacks sold black slaves to Britain and America. And yet, in feminism, because of this inclusive nature of wanting to include everyone, no one can ever do wrong except white men, white straight men.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of fucking speechless because I just realized that you fucking said that an 8-year-old died from internal injuries. That is the most disgusting fucking thing I've ever fucking heard. That is really, like I want to fucking puke right now. That is fucking disgusting. That is so disgusting. Ew. Fuck. God. Like, holy shit, that's fucking awful. Like, I'm just fucking, I mean, I know what happens, but I don't like fucking hearing about it. But that's part of the reason why feminists try to ignore it.
Well, you know what? Feminists out there, well, not feminists, girls that, you know, are forced into these first. Wait, has this been on this whole time? Oh, no. Why did it switch off? That's strange.
Whoopsies.
Let's turn that off. Sorry for that. But let me keep this camera on. The only way that you're going to...
so I put it against the edge of the counter and pushed on it to try to push the disc in. And the can went... it exploded.
All right, so any girl in any of these repressive regimes. Now, there are boys as well in these repressive regimes, but we won't talk about them for a moment. Well, we won't talk about them right now because this is about feminism. The only way that you can ever get any help in any situation you're in is you first have to be oppressed. Forget preventative measures. No, that's not how feminism works. The only way that you can be helped is if you're already suffering. That's how feminism works. If you can support some sort of narrative for feminism, then fantastic. They will love to help you out and put you in the spotlight, you know, pretty you up. And it's like, look how disadvantaged this woman is. She was forced to marry, rather than say, we saved this woman from being married off young. That's what feminism is. You're muted right now, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to say that, you know, I think that what feminists are doing, or these feminists specifically, the ones that responded to the email, I think they're just Islamophobes, and they need to check their privilege, because they're obviously just afraid that all Muslims are going to bomb them, and they're obviously really racist. That was a joke.
Yeah, I know, no, but you know,
just clarifying for anyone who thought that literally.
me speaking against Sharia law now makes me an Islamophobe.
Yeah,
Despite
exactly.
what the rules are, no, I'm an Islamophobe now. All right, so let's go to our last article today, which we know this happens, but it's always fun to see it as a news report. Why is my... Oh, hold on, let me... Sorry, my camera's been acting strange today, so... There we go.
Look at this little boy.
Nikki Morgan accused of using sexism to avoid touchy subjects. So Nikki Morgan used sexism to avoid answering questions on a touchy subject the head teacher accused of being sexist, she said. The education secretary accused the head teacher of sexism over the weekend when he asked her to use her influence to change a policy so that children with dyslexia are able to pass writing tests despite not having perfect spelling. When Miss Morgan refused to consider the change, Simon Kidwell from Hartford Manor Primary School in Cheshire questioned whether it was her in charge of Nick Gibb, the school minister. Miss Morgan refused to answer the question because she believed it to be a sexist remark. However, speaking for the first time since the incident at the National Academy of Head Teachers, Mr. Cookwell defended his question as legitimate because it was about who's running the department. So basically, he's like, well, who's running this, you or some bloke? And she's like, oh, well, that's just sexist to imply that a man is always in charge.
So I'm not going to answer it.
Yeah. So instead of like dealing with it as a leader, it's like, look, I'm the one in charge. It's my fucking decision. Go fuck yourself. She's like, oh, well, that's just sexist, and I'm triggered now, and I have to go to my safe space with coloring books. That's basically what happened. You wonder why there are very few women leaders? It's because when women like this are given a leadership position, they look for the first opportunity they can get out of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
They use sexism as a defense to not be responsible for their actions.
Absolutely. All the time.
He said sexism never crossed his mind when he asked the question. On Miss Morgan's reaction to his question, he said, I thought it was a poor reaction. I thought it touched a nerve because there is some truth in what I said. However, the argument should be around assessment and it should not be around academics. He said Miss Morgan was reluctant to answer the question because she doesn't call the shots.
Yeah.
So it looks like she was also protecting her ego as well. It's like, yeah, she's not the one who makes the decision, but she wants to act like she's the one making the decision. So she's like throwing it back at him. It's like, are you being sexist to me? Well, no. Well, it sounds like you're being sexist to me. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be sexist. Well, we'll excuse this. We'll just never mention it again, and walks away without ever answering the actual question. Who's actually in charge? That's what she was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking on the sidelines of the NAHT conference in Birmingham, Mr. Kurtwell said she was reluctant because Nick Gibb is in charge of the department. Nick Gibb is in charge and he's calling all the shots with this policy. Sexism never crossed my mind. It wasn't intended to be sexist. If the junior minister was female, I would have asked the same question. If I was asking the question to a male secretary of state, I would have still asked the same question. And see,
exactly.
This is something that comes up a lot in feminism. That the moment that there's some sort of minority issue, it becomes that minority issue, even if it's a legitimate complaint, even if it's a legitimate question. If the person happened to be black and the person ahead of them was white. It's like, who's in charge, you or that guy? It's like, oh, that's racist because that implies that a black man can't be in charge. It's like, no, it's a valid question. Who's in charge? Who do I need to go to talk to about this? But the moment some sort of minority is put into place, it becomes about that minority, whether it's about women, about race, about, trans, about sexuality. And this is what our world is becoming, that you can win any argument by playing whatever card you were given and saying, I'm an oppressed minority.
I'm glad I don't feel so oppressed all the time to where I could, I mean, it would be easier being able to, make excuses for everything I do and everything I don't want to do, but sorry, I don't like being a victim.
Maybe giving head teacher? Well, in Florida, they're definitely giving head teachers. He said that he would consider approaching Mr. Gibb with the same concerns he expressed to the education secretary. Mr. Kidwell received support from colleagues and partners on social media following his exchange with Miss Morgan. Claire Webster, a parent of a child in the school, said, "Proud to have a head who sticks up for the pupils. Well done, Mr. K." Andy Mellor, a head teacher, said, "Minister for Equalities doesn't seem to know what sexism means."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's, when you make all of these positions, what was it? Janice Philomingo was saying that her school is now conducting a study in which they need to determine if they need to hire more people for equality at their university, which sounds like just a justification to hire more people for a position of equality. Some colleges can have 3 or 4 equality coordinators, people who are basically there to make sure that the entire campus is equal. And it's like, why do you even need 1, much less 4? And, it's like, this is where all the money in colleges are going, is for useless shit like this. How much tuition would people save if we got rid of this frivolous spending in universities? And even then, these people aren't actually doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what happened with the red-haired jackal. I forget her name. Not Big Red, but the other one. The teacher who's like, I need some muscle over here. She teaches communication. She should know what sexism is. She should know what freedom of speech is. And she tried to use her vagina to get her way.
Yeah, Melissa Clegg, I think her name.
Thank you. Although I guess you can't blame me for not wanting to remember her name. But what are we actually teaching children if people within academia don't even know, what sexism actually is?
Yeah, exactly. Or racism or any kind of phobia.
So Miss Morgan, the tension between teachers and the educational secretary reached a new height this weekend after she delivered a speech in which she offered no concessions on the controversial plans to turn every school into an academy. Miss Morgan was heckled and jeered as teachers shouted rubbish and "you're not listening" as she addressed delegates. Teachers are also concerned about the assessment chaos because they argue children are being tested too fast, too soon, and too many changes are being introduced too quickly. But hey, as long as we have women employed at positions for equality, that's what matters most. Who cares if anyone actually passes a course?
Yeah.
In his closing remarks, Russell Hobby, General Secretary of NAHT, said pupils should only be assessed at the start and end of primary, as he called the scrap test at age 7, when children are halfway through primary. And I'm guessing that these are standardizing tests to measure at what level they're at. And I'm sure any of us can attest to this. We fucking hate tests. These fucking standardized testing that we had to do every few months. I mean, when I was going through school, we had to do one a year. And, you know, I was in Arizona when they did the testing for the Ames test, which took an entire week out of our schedule. We were the test bed. And all we would do is just take a test for every period in class, every subject. And, you know, it's like I think we even did it for like PE, and it's like the only respite we had was being able to go home.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was over, it was over. We were celebrating, but it was like, you know, test us when we first get into school and test us when we're about to leave school for good. You know, and I agree with this. Don't have tests while children are needing to learn. They don't have that much time to learn as it is. But that's another issue.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hobbies told delegates, "We cannot and will not endure another year of chaos. School leaders cannot do their duty to children under these circumstances." But yeah, this is getting off topic right now, but that's basically the end of the topic. But yeah, basically, if a woman doesn't like any line of questioning, she can use sexism. And we've always known that women can do that, but, you know, now it's like right in front in the media.
Yeah. And I like that, you know, more women are being called out for, you know, calling sexism when it really isn't at all.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm very happy by that, but unfortunately, it's not doing enough good yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that if we keep doing it, sooner or later, people are going to be like, well, you know, maybe we should start taking this more seriously. Unfortunately, because of the pussy card, women can still act like the victim, even if they're called out for their bullshit. Even if there's a massive number of people out there, men and women, saying this is bullshit and something needs to be done, the powers that be will still stand by a woman and defend her as some innocent victim.
Yeah, always.
And unfortunately, it's because they know that if they turn against a woman, they could be sued for sexism. They could be labeled as sexism. So they'd rather deal with the consequences of defending a female, even if they know she's wrong. Which surprised me that Melissa Click was fired from her job.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I reported on with Ladies on Topic that there was I forget her name, but there was the woman in Santa Barbara, a teacher, who tore up an abortion sign and attacked a student. Actually, it wasn't a student, but attacked a 16-year-old boy and still kept her job.
Jesus.
And
that reminds me of that one video of that creepy-looking feminist that worked at Burger King. She had a Burger King, like, fit on, just saying, like, you're a misogynist motherfucker, and you're also a racist motherfucker, too. Do you remember that fucking video?
Yeah. Just because they had abortion up, so she tried to use every obscenity she fucking could. Like, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you know, you hate women.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you get racism from wanting to ban abortion?
Because black women obviously want more abortions. You fucking racist piece of shit.
And yes, Fireproof Troll, the guy in question was a white male. I think there was a white female as well, both in the Santa Barbara case and that video that Vanessa is talking about. There were white males in that. So, of course, and that's a very good point. It's like, if you're a white male, you're obviously sexist, racist, homophobic, Islamophobic.
Privileged, patriarchal Hitler.
You're the love child of Hitler and Stalin. So, yeah. It's very sad, you know. I'm glad that we're able to call this stuff out, but you know what's sad is that we have a place like the Daily Mail who is so obvious in their bias, and they think that there's nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. And I'm really hoping that, you know, people are starting to wake up and see it's like, wait a minute. Oh my God, you know, 50-50, you know, parenting? Hell, I would like if I didn't see my children 50% of the time. I'm glad when they're at school. Or, you know.
Yeah. My mom used to say that all the time.
Prevent suffering. They only want to fix suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what feminism is. This is what we're fighting against. And it's like, look, you want equality between the genders? Fantastic. There are other ways to do it. Well, there are many other ways to do it, such as actually tackling the issues, actually getting yourself in there and dealing with something. Instead, you don't want to solve any problems at all. It's better if no problems are solved so you can continue getting money on the guise of trying to solve problems. And we've been saying that for years, but when you really look at all of it, it makes complete sense. I mean, if you were able to eliminate rape everywhere, you'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
And it's not even that you want to even stop rape as it is. In fact, you want it to increase so you can get more money, saying it's an epidemic, we need to do more and more and more, and then not actually do anything.
Yeah. It's sad.
I mean, this is what feminism is. This is what I've been doing for better part of 2 years. And as I mentioned, this is video 199 for me. 199 videos. My God, where's the time gone?
Sherry, can you do something special for 200?
Nothing really planned. Well, I'd kind of like to have some people on and just talk about, you know, the modern state of feminism, but
I want to do it.
What's up?
Let's bring a bunch of people on.
Okay.
Or like 2 or 3 or something.
But
that'd be fun.
I'll do it for episode like 205 or something. So it's not like my 200th episode for 205. Just to be weird. Just be different. Yeah, Rambam, Daily Mail's always a scandal rag, so Daily Hail. That's cute. Why don't you just go for Daily? Well, I see what you did there. Never mind. I thank everyone in chat. Thank you for coming out today. I know you're mostly here to see the Snake Girl, or as I call her, Modern Medusa. But I'm glad you listened to me drone on for a long time. And I thank you once again, Modern Medusa. It's great having you on my channel.
Thank you. It was lovely being here.
I might have to start calling it the Mad Cat and Modern Medusa Hour.
I wouldn't mind that.
But yes, anyone who's watching this video and you've made it this far, kudos to you. But definitely subscribe to Modern Medusa. She keeps saying she has a video ready to go, but it's like, where is it already? Come on.
I just got finished with all my schoolwork, so I'll be uploading it very soon, probably today or tomorrow.
Okay, so you know, here's what I want everyone to do. I want you to subscribe to her and then go on there. It's like, where's the video? Where's the video? Where's the video? She's a girl. She loves attention. But definitely subscribe to her. Definitely check out my other videos on here. Also, this is out there for anyone. If anyone's ever interested in coming on and doing a Smash series, I'm opening up for anyone who wants to come on and join me. You're welcome to do so. And maybe we can get Modern Medusa on, and it could be the three of us. No, I'm not making the obvious joke.
We'll have a menage a trois.
I said I'm not making... Oh, wait, you did it. Never mind. FleetCom memes. I'm not sure I know what that is.
I am a meme queen, and I don't know what that is.
Maybe you can put that on your resume. I'm a meme queen. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe down below. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button so more people out there can know that I exist. Go ahead and check me out on Twitter under ggmad_cat. And if you like what I'm doing and you want to see more, well, I could use some help. I do need some medical treatment. I am disabled. So consider donating to my Patreon. Right now, pretty much my entire focus in life right now is trying to get medical treatment. So these videos are kind of a means to an end. Writing is kind of a means to an end. So, but if you don't want to do Patreon, perfectly understandable. Check out my link for my newest book release. It's about vampires in the 14th century. I'm sure some of you are like, oh no, vampires again? Jeez. But no, it's actually a very good story. I've gotten plenty of positive feedback from several people. I've gotten a couple of reviews back as well. So it's a pretty good story. The first one is free to download. This gives you a small little taste. If you like it, consider buying the next book right after that. I promise you, you'll be thoroughly enjoyed, and you'll be helping a good cause. You'll be helping me get some money so I can get medical treatment. Of course, it'll cost me like $10,000 to get that medical treatment, but again, means to an end. Anyways, is there anything final that you'd like to say, Modern Medusa?
Well, like you already said, you know, subscribe to my channel. I also have, you know, Twitter at Vanessa W. Cheese, and I also have, well, I have a couple Facebook pages, one for my YouTube page, Modern Medusa, and then another for my art, Vanessa's Custom Art on Facebook. So, yeah, check those out. I mean, I have other stuff, but I'll save that for later.
Okay, so I apologize. I had the camera focused on you the whole time while I was talking. So description down below, this is where you can see my links that I was actually talking about, my book, my Twitter, and my Patreon. Anyways, that's going to do it for me, but cross-dressing, pushing midgets in wheelchairs with firearms were involved.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like Whose Line, where they pull out random quotes and have to say them in dialogue. That would be a fun game to do on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I've done an entire Whose Line Is It Anyway themed birthday party before, so I would love to do that. Unity would also be fun, but I don't know if you like that game.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, and see you next time.